Now again, we continue again with breastfeeding. Now this is very very much important again, and it's very very common to our sisters. This is very very common to our sisters. It is very very common to our aunties. It is very very common among women. It's very common. That is why this particular point is very very much important. Now, let's say a virgin or any woman, any young girl happens to get milk. That is to say, the breast of that particular girl or the breast of that particular woman can produce milk, and a child happens to drink that milk, is the same. If a woman happens to have milk, no matter how little that woman is, since that particular girl or a woman happens to have milk and that particular woman breastfeeds someone's child, that child becomes a child. And any relative of that particular girl or that particular woman is haram for that child to get married to. This is common. Sometimes your mother, as a woman or as a girl, your mother will go to the market, and your mother will leave behind the little baby, your brother or your sister, the little baby, and this baby gets up just after your mother left. The baby starts crying, and we all know when the baby starts crying and the baby is not eating food, the next thing we just know that baby need hot water or lukewarm water or breast milk. But in Africa, or in most parts, what happens in Europe is very simple. They will just go out there, mix artificial milk and give to the child. But for us in Africa, no. The best we know what happen, you will see the sister or the auntie or the relative, what happened? They will just remove their brazier and start to breastfeed this child. Even those little girls that cannot produce milk, they still breastfeed their younger ones just to comfort the child until the mother come back. So, in this regard, if you are a sister, you breastfeed your brother or you breastfeed your sister. If there's any milk in your breast, and this child happens to drink this milk, or the milk passes through the nostril of the child, or the milk passes through the eardrum of the child, that's to say this particular child becomes your child, even though this particular child here is your brother, but this particular child becomes your child. And your child also in the future become a foster sister or brother to this particular child. So you need to be careful. So if your mother left behind is your whatsoever, what is important? Don't breastfeed a child that is not your child. This is very important. Don't underestimate that. No, my breast cannot produce milk whatsoever. Don't risk it. You can't tell. Don't risk it. So don't give your breast to a child that is not your child, because in the future it will be very risky. Because when you give your breast to a child and the child happens to drink the milk from your breast, every relation of you becomes haram to that child. That child is just as your son, and your husband is a father to that child, even though the child biologically is not your child. So what is very very much important, stop breastfeeding someone's child. Stop breastfeeding people like that. You are not a breastfeeder. Because of this, if you check now, most of the marriage in our country, they are haram, because we don't know. We don't know. Because most of us, we are raised by our aunties. Most of us, we are raised by our elder sisters. Most of us, we are raised by somebody. What is more familiar is that you can see somebody saying that I get married to this particular girl because her mother is the one that raised me. Her mother is the one that breastfeed me. Her mother is like a mother to me. That is why I married to this particular child, not knowing that that particular marriage is haram. So you see, so we need to be careful how we do these things. So what is important? Don't breastfeed a child that is not your child. Stop the breastfeeding. As soon as you stop to breastfeed a child that is not your child, then everything is cool. If a child is crying, then there's another way. If the baby is a young baby, then give the baby a lick hot water. Give the baby a lick warm water. You know? So until the parents come back or you start dancing with the child, just try to do anything. But don't give the child your breast. Please. It's very important.